Today we'll talk about piano benches. In my opinion, the first encounter technician has with the piano and the client is the piano bench. It needs to be checked for integrity. If technician will not sit down on it and it will collapse under him. Important part, not to be embarrassed, and to stop the squeaks and finally fix the bench. And if customer is asking me, what are you doing? Well, I tell them I'm tuning the bench. But actually what I'm doing is saving their marriage, because she was begging her husband to fix the bench, which is relatively easy to do, and it's never been done in the past 15 years. So the fixing the bench is relatively easy, but you have to be prepared. This is my field kit to do that repair. In that plastic box I have every ingredient to do it. First of all, the wing nuts supplied by the manufacturers like Kimball and many others were meant to be thrown away. If you take the wing nut, you can never tighten it with your fingers, ever. So it was designed to put bench together on the dealer's floor relatively quickly, and then if piano was delivered, technician's supposed to throw wing nuts away and put everything in order, but it's never done. You will see many benches with the wing nuts, and again, be prepared for it. Throw it away, and here is the hex nut. And before hex nut is installed, you need to have flat washer and lock washer or split washer, and then the hex nut, and tighten it up. You're fine. Do it 4 times and you earned few dollars easily. This particular bench was in a customer's home, and because it had that stopping device on top, it will get jammed, and customer and kids, 5 kids in the house, could not close the top, so they will force it, and eventually 2 hinges are mangled to the point where I can fix them, but there is no need. I have replacement hinges, plenty of those. I will return them back to the client. What I did is found 2 nice replacement hinges, American made versus Asian, and the piano bench works. So it took me longer to find replacement hinges than to do the actual repair. Inside I have a good collection of little felt pads to put here, so when you close the bench it's nice and quiet. On the legs I install nylon glides with the nails so the bench doesn't scratch the floor. If those ferrules are loose, you can drive little wooden wedge or toothpick or a small nail, and it will not rattle anymore, and it'll be nice and tight. If the bottom is loose and staples are coming out, I like to install roofing nails, and they have large head. Once I drive them in, they are not coming out. Reinforce the bench, we need 3 of them in the short side and about 5 or 7 in the long side. Why odd number? 1 is in the middle and 2, 3 are here. It bows and bends in the middle, so driving screw or a nail in the middle is very important for stability, for strength. And instead of that clumsy device, I installed sash chain. You can see I have about 20 feet here, and in my shop here I have 2 reels. I buy them a reel of 100 feet, 2 of them, and they last me several years. And of course the price is much cheaper. It comes up to about 15 cents a foot versus 80 cents a foot if you buy it by foot. So figure out your expenses. But it's relatively easy to bring bench back in order. And I have a good selection of hinges to replace in the field. And over there later, Tim will show you maybe 30, 40 different hinges, and that's what I work with and install that. It's easy repair. It's about 1/5 of my tuning fee, but it's a good PR. Clients love fixed bench. Now it's stable, doesn't squeak. Before the repair, the bench was totally loose and it was dropping on the floor. So in this bag I have for field repair. This nice box travels with me many years, maybe 800,000 miles already. And in that compartment I have the necessary tools to tighten the hex nut, to do hammering, pliers, awl to start a hole, and to cut off old rubber buttons. And those wonderful pliers are great. They are good to cut the chain. And if you see those two knurled part here and there, imagine this is a hammer shank, and I can leave knurling in the hammer shank this way, or I can do it on vertical piano from the top, and now we have little channels for air to escape and for glue to escape. So those are Plumbers Pliers, and I have few of them around my tool cases. And again, those type of glass cutters cut the chain very easily, effortlessly. And see, easy. And here is another one. And I have a couple of types of glass cutters. Chain cutters. As long as you find good pair of pliers which cuts it effortlessly, keep it, and you will not regret it. Again, little by little, doing 4 or 5 tunings a day, and fixing the bench first, another $10, $15, $20, whatever, it adds up. And the main thing is the PR. Clients love it. They think you're a genius. And with Tim's permission, we're going to move the camera and I will show you what I have in a big supply to do shop work. Whenever there's a problem with the bench, it can happen because very thin hinges are installed and they don't have enough bite. 1 hole here, 3 holes here, 2 holes here. And the gauge, the thickness of the metal is different, so every time you tighten it, it keeps bending. So it's still, the bench is just still doesn't feel good. What I wanted to emphasize here is the Kimball bench brackets. Kimball is heavy-duty office furniture manufacturer. Piano was their little outlet. But they used the best bench brackets on their benches, and they are indestructible. I love them. They fit most of the replacement benches brackets if needed. And when Kimball was in business, I asked Roger Weisensteiner, their production manager, sweetest guy, if I could get some, and he sent me 1,000 of those. And I worked for a couple of school districts. In a couple of years they disappeared. I used them, so if I had 1,000 of those brackets, 4 per bench, I fixed about 250 benches, and I reordered them another 1,000, and they disappeared. And now I only have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of them left. That's it. This will be the end of the era. I wish somebody will jump on that idea. Our suppliers will contact the stamping metal manufacturers and copy that very good bracket, and technicians can use it on the benches. Nothing else works. And that's about it. But again, I can I'm slowly slowing down from this business. Whenever I can get away without installing replacement brackets, I do it. But if there is a very attractive artist bench, not adjustable artist, but artsy case with very fancy legs, many of them in the old days came where everything was glued with joints together. Now the glue is dry, the bench is rickety, and it needs those brackets to be installed. I get permission from the client telling them this is the modern way. Maybe it will look ugly or not original, but that's the only way to save the bench. And it's very costly and time consuming to break the bench apart, re-glue it, reclamp it. I have huge clamps there. It's a lot of work. Another danger about the bench is what I call PRS. It's post-refinishing syndrome. After the bench was refinished and the glue joints were exposed to strippers and spraying chemicals, all of a sudden when bench hits the road, it becomes very squeaky and loose, and then it needs to go back in the shop, broken apart, re-glue it, clamped, and if you're lucky to find brackets, you can install them. So I install a lot of those Kimball brackets on the benches of old time, the 1900, 1920, when they didn't have brackets. Excellent woodworking, but because of the refinishing, they got loose and they needed reinforcement. And this is usually done in the shop. I hate to bend over the floor. It's much easier to have everything here. If I need extra drilling, extra tools, I have it right here, and I can cut the cost down because it takes me less time to do it. Okay, the easy way to install those corner brackets is to take a coupling and drive a bolt through it up to this point. So I can take the hanger bolt, put power tool here. Now it stops right here. Dip it in a VJ lubricant, and it can go with the air tool or power tool into the up to this point here. And that's about it. Once it's tight and snug there, of course the hole is pre-drilled, and I have corresponding drill bit for that. So once it's in, when I put it in reverse, this is the drill bit. So I drill it, see the stopper here, the masking tape, up to here. And that's enough. It will have that bite right here. So this is the depth right here, to the beginning of the metal thread. And this really reinforces the bench. So this coupling stay here together and a drill together. And if I have to go that route, for Asian pianos I have the same coupler with the socket, and I can put it in a power electric drill or in the air tool here with a 3/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, and ready to go. So whenever I work, I have several magnetic dishes to collect parts from that particular project. It can be bench or piano action, doesn't matter. And you can see collection of different hinges, and they are scavenged from older pianos or just bought at different occasions, but I can match almost anything. So those are, I have another jar like that in my supplies. Here I can replace hanger bolts going into the bench leg. Some of the hanger bolts on some American pianos are very short, so they tend to start to come out. So I can drive this in and to strengthen the integrity of the bench. Here are the glides. Try to buy them by hundreds or thousand, and don't overlook it. Here are the screws for that. Here is a good collection of hard hammer quality felt to put around the perimeter so it will not slam on you. A good collection of flat washers, different screws with corresponding drill, sash chain with corresponding screws, hinge screws here. Here are the hex nuts, flat washers, and here are different sockets to drive the hex nuts in, and little hole to start the hole. And in this construction bucket there is a holder for tools. Again, hammer, ratchet, hole to start a hole. I have air compressor. I can run the ratchet driver with the air, and if I go to college and they have 40 pianos and 5 of them need repair, I can easily take them in my van, bring them in, and one goes after another, or especially if I have a helper, I can fix them really quickly and make some money. So the process of fixing benches is not a big profit maker, just pays for your labor. But if you learn to buy parts by thousands, there is a place in Simi Valley called Simi Fasteners selling parts and supplies for drapery installers. They sell them cheaply. For instance, flat washer can cost you cents a piece, times 4, okay, let's say 25 cents. They sell them at 1 cent a piece, so 5 times cheaper. If I buy 1,000 of those, it's only $5-6. If I'm in Simi Valley, I can easily call them in advance. They will prepare it, and I don't have to pay for postage. You add up 1,000 of those, you will pay 3 times more for postage than for the item itself. So learn to economize. Once you do that, you can make some money. I had situations where my clients say, oh, I can fix it. Fine, I give them parts, I charge them a little bit. My cost for the parts, let them do it. Guess what? A year later, I go there, the bench is still not fixed. And they don't know where the part is. So I get on my knees, fix it up, I can talk to the lady, joke a little bit around. And again, it's a great PR for a technician and great way to learn. I had younger people in the shop inspired to be piano tuners, and they don't know how to hold the screwdriver correctly. They don't know how to back it up, not to damage the thread of the screw hole. And this is a great way to teach younger people the ethics and basics of the woodworking, and the bench, fixing the bench is a woodworking stuff. Nothing mysterious, and it helps younger people to learn things about bench, and you can adapt it to a few things you can fix around the house as well. My son used to do it, and he learned a lot of things, how to work with the power tools and this and that. And in his business, in his home, he is very comfortable fixing stuff, little things, nailing them down, hanging pictures, etc. But if you master it and organize everything, see, those contents are here in a construction bucket, very much like Russian dolls. And that's about it. And then there is a top, which I never installed, like this. And that's it. So I can sit on that, and there are some tools inside, and it's very convenient. One of the problems with many Asian benches, they attach hinges with those tiny little number 2 screws. And the soft metal of the hinge is so soft that eventually it comes apart. It's very easy to break. So I install number 4 and 5 screws, tiny bit longer, but not to exceed 3/4 of an inch to go through the rail. And I save those screws for different projects if something comes up. So again, let me wrap it up. If you have a toolkit for your bench repair stuff for the field, you use it. I had to do little work and I was under pressure to be on time on the next appointment. So, and tomorrow I'll be passing near that client. So on Thursday I picked up the bench. Today I fixed it in a matter of half an hour. And tomorrow I will drop it off and they will be grateful. And this chain will make this bench indestructible, really. Another point is for churches, synagogues, institutions, colleges. They destroy piano benches in big numbers, and they are the easiest and best customers to buy used benches. They are not that picky about the color, the shape of the legs, etc., as long as it's solid. And I have a pretty good collection of used piano benches, about a dozen or two. And if the bench is beyond repair, for the cost of repair, I can sell them piano bench. And some dealers throw them away because dealer cannot sell scratched up, beat up bench. But as long as it's solid, I can literally salvage it from the dumpster of a dealership and make it work. And it will wait its moment until some church or college practice room will get this bench and be happy with it. Saves the money. I think that's about it. So if you will fix first 200 piano benches, I will send you a certificate of being a BS, bench specialist. And this will be proudly go on your business card as you are a great piano technician and you have BS degree in piano technology. So have fun, guys. Okay, so in this file cabinet I have supplies. See, once I bought those maybe at 5 or 8 cents a piece versus 49 cents a piece, and this was a couple of years ago, those hanger bolts. But I don't do much bench work. This is the remains of 1,000 washers. As soon as I see empty can, I can go to the place and buy them. Again, the place who sells 1,000 of those sell them in 100 packages. And those are the 516 by 18 thread hex nuts. And I use a lot of them. Every wing nut disappears. And again, another full jar of washers. Those are hinges and screws and hex nuts here. So I like to have everything ready. See, those are the bracket screws, and those are those square felts for when the top comes down. So I still have pretty good supply here, and roofing nails, and more hex nuts, and they can be refilled easily. And split washers. Again, when I bought 1,000, I still have those. And quantity-wise, again, if you learn to use a lot of them, buy by the 1,000 or partner with another chapter member and split the cost. But if you get into habit to do it, every time you see squeaky bench, $15-20 is laying on the floor waiting for you to pick it up without being greedy.